Being able to speak English well is very important today. It helps with friends, jobs, and school. Some old ways of learning English focus on grammar rules and remembering long lists of words. But many people find this boring and not helpful. There's another way to learn, which is more natural. This way is like how we learn our first language. It focuses on being around English, talking with others, and using English in real life. In today's episode, I will show you easy and natural ways to get better at speaking English. We will focus on tips that don't just use grammar and vocabulary lists. So, get ready to improve your listening skills, expand your vocabulary, and become more confident in English. Let's dive in. First, be around English. Make your world English. Being surrounded by English is a very good way to learn. When you hear and see English every day, you understand it better and learn faster. This doesn't just mean being in a country where people speak English. You can make your own English world even if you are at home. With the internet, there are many easy ways to do this. Listening to English is a key part of being around the language. Podcasts are great because you hear real conversations, how people say things, and the flow of the language. Just listening to podcasts when you are traveling or relaxing can help you take in English. Music is another fun way to learn. Singing English songs helps you with how you say words, the rhythm of the language, and learning new words. This has helped many people learn languages. Also, watching English movies and TV shows lets you hear how people really talk. You also see their body language and learn about their culture, which helps you understand better. Watching without subtitles makes you listen more carefully. You have to try to understand from what you hear and see, which makes your listening skills stronger. When you watch things made for English speakers, you learn how conversations naturally go, including small things that are not always taught in lessons. Beyond listening, a simple way to be more around English is to change the language on your phone, computer, and social media to English. This small change means you see English words every time you use your devices. It helps you learn these words because you see them in places you already know. Another helpful way to remember words is to put English labels on things in your house. Seeing these words around you helps you connect them to the real objects. Being around English through things like labels, menus, and things you see when you are out helps you learn words by seeing how they are used in everyday life. Listening is the most important thing in this English world. Usually, you understand a language before you can speak it. So, focusing on listening helps you build an understanding of English that will help you speak better. Hearing and seeing English regularly, even if you are not paying close attention, trains your brain to notice patterns and slowly learn the language, like a child learns their first language. Choose things to listen to and watch that you enjoy. This will keep you interested and make learning easier and more fun when it is connected to what you like. 2. Start talking. Practice makes perfect. While being around English helps you learn, you also need to speak it to become fluent. Talking regularly is very important, and almost everyone who gives advice on how to speak well says this. It's important to start speaking even if you are worried about making mistakes. This will help you become more confident and speak more fluently. There are many speaking exercises you can do by yourself, which is good practice even if you don't have someone to talk to. One effective way to begin is by reading books, magazines, or even signs out loud. This is a great way to improve how you say words, the way your voice goes up and down, and how comfortable you are with the sounds of English. When you say the words, you get more used to the sounds and rhythm of English. This makes your spoken English sound more natural and sure. This practice helps connect the sentences you think of in your head with the actual sounds you make when you speak. Another useful approach is talking to yourself in English about your thoughts, what you do every day, or your plans for the future. This is a good way to practice alone, and a safe way to practice making sentences and saying what you think without being afraid of what others will think. Keeping an audio diary, where you record yourself talking about your day, thoughts, or experiences, helps you speak regularly and lets you listen back to see how you are doing. Saying what you are doing out loud also helps you organize your thoughts in English, which helps you speak more easily. To take it a step further, recording yourself speaking, whether you are practicing a speech or pretending to have a conversation, is a very helpful way to find your mistakes and see how you have improved over time. When you listen back, you can often hear problems with your pronunciation or how smoothly you speak that you didn't notice before. Additionally, practicing speaking in front of a mirror can help you see how your mouth moves, your facial expressions, and your body language when you talk. Watching these things can help you change how you say words and become more aware of how you look when you speak. When you learn new words or phrases, try to use them in your own speaking as soon as you can. This helps you remember them and understand them better. Practicing speaking by yourself regularly builds your confidence and helps your mouth get used to making English sounds. This prepares you for talking with others in real life. When you are doing these exercises alone, focus on practicing and getting comfortable with speaking. Don't worry about being perfect right away. Mistakes are a normal and important part of learning. 3. Connect and talk. Use English with others. While practicing alone is useful, talking with real people is important for speaking more easily and using English naturally. When you talk to native speakers, they can tell you right away if you make a mistake, which helps you learn and improve quickly. This helps you learn how native speakers really talk, including slang and expressions that you don't find in books. Language exchange partners and tutors can give you good chances to practice this way. One great starting point is finding language exchange partners, either online or in person. This lets you practice speaking English with people who speak English as their first language and who are also learning your language. This way, you both help each other and get to hear how real people use the language. Another effective method is using online websites to find English tutors, which gives you personalized practice and feedback on your speaking. For example, you can get one-on-one help with your accent from educated native speakers who can teach you ways to improve your spoken English. For a more laid-back approach, going to local language cafes or meetups offers a relaxed place to practice speaking English with other learners and, sometimes, with native speakers. These meetings provide real-life speaking practice in a friendly place, which can make you less nervous and more willing to talk. You might also enjoy joining clubs or groups that are about things you like, providing a fun and helpful way to practice English in a social setting and make new friends. When you do activities you enjoy while speaking English, learning becomes more fun, and you have a natural reason to communicate. Additionally, playing online games or being part of online groups where people use English to talk can be a fun way to practice. Because these platforms are often interactive and involve working together, they give you a good reason to practice your English. Talking with others in real time naturally shows you new words and gives you chances to ask what they mean and how to use them. Public speaking events, while they might be scary, give you a chance to practice speaking clearly and get feedback on how you speak. Talking with native speakers regularly is a direct way to speak more easily as you get used to how they naturally talk. When you have conversations with others, you hear different ways of speaking, different accents, and you face real-time communication challenges, which helps you become more adaptable and speak more fluently. You should see mistakes you make during conversations as good chances to learn, and you should ask people you talk to for feedback to improve faster. 4. Copy the experts. Use shadowing to improve how you say words and the flow of your speech. The shadowing technique is a powerful way to improve how you say words, the way your voice goes up and down, and the natural rhythm of English. This means copying how a native speaker talks. Shadowing helps you get better at the physical parts of speaking English by training the muscles you use to make English sounds more correctly. To shadow well, listen to a short audio or video clip of someone who speaks English as their first language. Then, say what they say at the same time or right after them. Try to copy how they say the words, the way their voice changes, and how fast they talk. Using written words, transcripts, can be helpful, especially when you first start. Focusing on things like how they say certain sounds or the melody of their speech can make this technique even more helpful. 5. Think in English. Stop translating in your head. Thinking directly in English is a very important step towards speaking fluently and more naturally. When you think in English, it becomes easier to speak in English. This way, you don't have to first think in your own language and then translate, which can be slow and can lead to mistakes. Research shows that trying to think in English helps you speak more easily in different ways. There are several things you can do to help you start thinking in English. A good place to begin is by practicing saying the names of things around you in English. You can do this anywhere, and it helps you get used to connecting objects directly with their English names. Start with nouns and then add verbs. Next, try mentally saying what you are doing and thinking in English as another helpful way to practice. If you are already thinking in English, try saying your thoughts out loud. Describing your daily activities helps you use everyday words and make simple sentences in English. Once you're comfortable with that, start making simple sentences in your head about what you see or what you are doing. For example, if you are sitting in a park, you might think, "The weather is nice today." To deepen your understanding, consider looking up new words in a dictionary that uses only English to explain the meaning. This way, you understand the word in English itself, without needing to translate from your own language, which helps you think directly in English. Along with that, try hard not to translate from your own language before you speak in English. Translating directly can make your sentences slow and often wrong, because the order of words and grammar can be different. You can also think of the English word for things you see without saying it out loud. This mental labeling helps you remember words and makes the connection between the object and its English name stronger. For a bigger challenge, mentally plan what you will do during the day using English. This is a bit harder because it involves using different verb tenses. When you only use words you know when you speak, it makes you find creative ways to say things, which helps you speak more easily. It's also important to listen to and read English that you can understand. This builds a stronger base for thinking in the language. Starting to think in English takes time and effort. Connecting new English words and phrases directly with situations and ideas, instead of with words in your own language, makes your English thinking stronger. This creates a more direct path in your brain for remembering and using the words. 6. Tell your story. Use stories to speak more easily and confidently. Telling stories and describing what you do every day are natural and good ways to practice speaking and improve how easily you speak. When you retell stories, it gives you a structure for speaking. It helps you organize your thoughts in English, practice putting events in order, and use words that describe things. One way to start is by choosing simple stories, like fairy tales or stories from your childhood, and trying to tell them again in English. This lets you focus on speaking smoothly, instead of worrying about difficult words or the story itself. From there, make it a habit to talk about what you did during the day in English, either to yourself or to someone who is helping you learn. Talking about your day and your experiences gives you practice in a relaxed way. To mix things up, imagine different situations and practice speaking about them in English. For example, pretend you are being interviewed on a podcast and prepare answers to possible questions. This helps you think quickly and say your thoughts clearly in situations that feel real. Another helpful practice is regularly recording yourself or writing about your thoughts, feelings, and experiences in English. Keeping an audio diary helps you speak regularly and lets you see how you are improving. Writing in a journal in English helps you remember words and sentence structures, which indirectly helps you speak more easily. You can also choose something or a picture and describe it in detail in English. Describing things is a simple way to practice using words that describe and making sentences. Using pictures can also help you remember English words and use different parts of your brain, making learning more fun. When you tell stories or describe situations, adding emotion and expression can make the practice more interesting and help you remember words and how to say them. Telling stories helps you use a wider range of words and grammar in a way that communicates, which improves both how easily and how correctly you speak. Starting with simple stories and slowly making them more complex can build your confidence and help you speak more easily over time. 7. Beyond words, learn phrases and common expressions for natural speech. Learning and using whole phrases, idioms, and common expressions that native speakers often use is important for sounding natural. Learning these chunks of language is often more useful than just learning single words. Native speakers often use these common phrases, and knowing them helps you sound more fluent and less hesitant. When you learn phrases, you can make many correct sentences without having to think about each word separately. Focusing on whole expressions instead of translating word by word helps you understand the natural flow and rhythm of spoken English as it is really used. Learning idioms also helps you sound more like a native speaker and understand different situations better. Paying attention to common phrases used in movies, TV shows, and everyday talks is a good way to start. Keeping a notebook of useful phrases and trying to use them when you speak is also helpful. Practicing using these phrases in different situations by pretending to be someone else or having conversations helps you understand and use them better. Using resources that are made to teach English idioms and expressions can also be useful. It's especially helpful to learn phrases that you will use in your daily life and in common situations. Understanding when to use different kinds of English, formal versus informal phrases, is also important for talking effectively. When you learn phrases, first focus on understanding and using them correctly in different situations, rather than on the grammar rules behind them. Thinking too much about the grammar of phrases can make it harder to use them naturally. It's often better to learn them as complete pieces of language. Learning common phrases and expressions helps you communicate more quickly and sound more like native speakers, which makes you more confident and helps you understand better. These ready-made pieces of language make it easier to form sentences, so your speech sounds smoother and more natural. You should focus on understanding the meaning and small differences in phrases rather than just remembering what they literally mean, because many idioms and expressions have meanings that are not obvious from the words themselves, and these are important to use correctly. 8. Make it a habit. Use English every day. Being around English and using it regularly is very important for improving your speaking skills over time. When you make English a part of your daily routine, learning becomes less like work and more like a natural part of your life, which makes it easier to keep going and enjoy it. Learning a language should not just be about studying at certain times. It should become something you do in your everyday activities so you can keep improving. Listening to English music or podcasts when you are traveling or doing things around the house gives you regular exposure to the language. Watching English movies or TV shows when you are relaxing is another fun way to be around English. Reading English news articles, blogs, or books regularly also helps a lot with learning the language. Following social media accounts that are in English and joining online discussions can also give you more exposure and chances to talk with others. Keep practicing thinking in English during your daily activities, as we talked about before. If you can, find a hobby or activity that involves using English. This can make practicing feel less like work. Planning days where you focus on English activities, like only using English to talk or watching English movies, can give you a lot of practice. Creating areas or times at home where you only use English encourages you to use the language regularly. Learning because you are really interested in the language and culture makes the process more fun and easier to continue. Doing hobbies that require English makes practice a natural part of your life. By regularly being around English in different ways, you create a learning environment that helps you remember what you learn and keeps you interested over a long time. You should find things you enjoy and find ways to use English through those things. This will help you stay motivated and make learning more relevant to you. Conclusion: the natural way to speak English easily. Improving your English speaking skills easily and well through natural methods involves many things, like being around English, practicing actively, and communicating with others. The main tips we talked about are being around English sounds, actively practicing speaking in different ways by yourself, connecting and talking with other English speakers, using the shadowing technique to improve how you say words and the flow of your speech. Getting into the habit of thinking in English, using stories and descriptions, focusing on learning phrases and common expressions, and making English a part of your daily life. These methods are based on how we naturally learn languages, like our first language, and they are often more interesting and helpful than just focusing on grammar. Practicing regularly, being patient, and having a positive attitude are important throughout your language learning journey. Speaking fluently takes time, and every little bit of effort helps you improve. By using these natural ways, you can become more confident and speak English fluently and naturally. Thanks for watching The Easy English Way. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more helpful English tips. See you next time.